I'm Shannon Exum, co-founder of Team COVID Long Haulers. Find out how my family survived a near tragedy caused by COVID, how we're handling the ups and downs, and how we're learning to thrive in new ways with long COVID. Be sure to visit our website at teamcovidlonghaulers.org. This episode, Travis talks about his post-COVID symptoms and validation from doctors.
$3 months, a quarter of the time. I mean, let's just be honest, that was very attractive. So that was
one
that was part of
element.
it. That's part of it.
That was one element, and I remember very clearly when we went to get your scrubs after we had said yes. The real part of it and the most important part of it shone through when you were talking to the clerks at the. This is for when COVID was first hitting, and
Well, it was about it was a little bit less than a year with them, but it was coming to like the major peaks that at the
Right.
time had never been seen before.
And people were, cheering you on, and they were sending you well wishes, and you really knew, yes, it's about the money, but it's also about helping others and helping your fellow nurses too. They were exhausted
Well, I mean,
already.
yeah, I mean, I think it's the whole picture that, this is, I mean, we're all living in a pandemic. Who thought they'd ever be living in this in their lifetime? You only read about this in history books. And I'm a nurse. I think I'm a damn good nurse. And my
Damn
thought
good.
was, people need help. And you're right, not just the people who are COVID sick, but my fellow nurses. I mean, really, just knowing how hard it is to work in a hospital under ideal circumstances. You throw in a pandemic, and for those of you that just don't know, it's just unimaginable the work to do the job of being a nurse. But so that was really had a lot to go with it.
It is,
And I was proud of the fact, and I was kind of excited that again, you'll be hard pressed to find a nurse who will tell you that they do it for the fame, the glory, or for hearing people praise them. But it's also very nice when you do hear people that appreciate what you do.
Absolutely. I started writing a journal because I thought the more information, the better for the doctors. And unfortunately, I can't get to my journal now. So let's move on. It's a shame too, because it was really detailed, but that's okay. We can get to it later. Basically what it said was, in April, I noticed that Travis, we were filling out a job application because he was going to try to be a school nurse for a little bit, trying to get, on the job, reconditioning, etc., to get back. And thought he was doing pretty well, maybe start with a part-time job and then get going from there. So that was the plan. So we're filling out this job application, and during that process, I noticed some really significant cognitive deficits. He didn't know how to maneuver the files and things to get his resume out, and then he didn't know how to upload it and download it. Things that he knew how to do very easily and fluidly before, he couldn't even begin to do at that time in April. So I was very concerned. And the very next day, I called the PCP and I said, this is an emergency. This is no joke. Something's going on. And, I didn't get to read my notes, but basically we've been dealing with that and fighting for that ever since, to various degrees with his cognition. Another thing that I started journaling in around May was his mood swings, his extreme mood swings. He would get super angry about things that didn't even matter. The first 2-3 months when he came home, it was like, thank God I'm alive, and we're alive. What matters? Nothing. None of this stupid crap matters that we thought mattered. Doesn't matter. And then April, May, June, it starts building, and he's angry, then he's sad, then he's tired, then he's all the things, but in the negative space. And so that's very alarming to me. And one reason why it was so alarming is we went to one of his doctors through workers' comp, and I remember very clearly because it pissed me off, to be honest. He walked in the door and this doctor who I love now, but he walked in, didn't introduce himself or anything. He's like, 87% or whatever percent, it was a high percent of post-COVID patients commit suicide. And I looked at him and I'm like, why would you say something like that to me? And he said, because you need to hear it and because it's true. And you wouldn't have heard me any other way. That's what he said to me. And I'm like,
Now, let me just clarify. That was people who have long COVID, not just 80%
yes,
people who's had it, but people who's had
long COVID,
ongoing symptoms.
Yes. See, this is why I have him, because my storytelling is not stellar like his. So that's what happened. And thank goodness he said that to me, because I just put it in the back of my head and I thought, oh, this is going to be something that we need to, look at later. So we went on with the appointment. Everything's, he was diagnosed immediately with post-COVID. His own doctor had it, and so the symptoms were blaringly real. And I remember one thing, we left, and I'd only seen you cry maybe twice in the 20 years, but you left that meeting with that doctor and said, I finally feel validated. You were looking for validation, and you thought that people thought you were lying, and you were like, this doesn't make any sense. And I wouldn't believe it myself if I weren't going through it.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it does not make sense. And a lot of the long haulers that we've talked to, met, and they all say the same thing, which is, and again, you have all these things going on and there's no rhyme or reason for them, and doctors run all the normal testing they do and it doesn't show anything, but they're still there. And, just to some degree, you start thinking, question your own sanity to a certain degree, and then just having to tell your story and you feel like you're having to convince somebody because, again, what you're telling them, there should be a reason for it and there's not. So for him to just say that, listen, I've got a lot of those things too. I have to go home on my lunch break, or I can't make it through the day because of my fatigue. And this is what you got. It was just somebody understanding, knowing firsthand about it, and I did not have to explain myself.
That's right. And
there was finally a name to it. I knew what I wanted to say. I just could not say it or get it out, and just could not bring myself to say it. And there was a little bit of forgetfulness, time, just remembering the understanding of time, those types of things. And so that was the big reason why not the big reason, that was the reason why I needed speech therapy. Because, again, at this point, this was in the summer.
Well, let's just put some dates to this. So January rolls by, February, March, he's getting his physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You had a big setback at physical therapy. You can go over that later. You did too much. You exercised too much.
We don't have to go over everything later. We can talk about it as we go.
Well, that's true. But why? Yeah. Tell us. So you were, January, you came home January 21st, my birthday, the best birthday present I've ever had, even more than the Lexus you bought me the one year. I mean, that's how much I love that birthday present.
Better than a car.
Yeah, a little better than the car. Although that car was really pretty. Anyway. Oh, fun times. To go back, just to think for a second, there was life before COVID, and it was pretty damn grand. Here we are, alive and well today. And that's part of why we're doing this, to show that you can get through it. You can make it through. Might it suck? Yes. Yes. But you can make it through.
Well put, Shannon. Join us in episode 4 as we talk about Travis coming home from the hospital and his battle with COVID long haulers. Join us.